hear that these careers within the field that are high paying. Okay, so it is kind of the motivation for the students to know which career has the high paying or the payment, the salary. So in fact, the degree leads to some of the highest paying position or the popular, the famous people that has this kind of studied before about the career, about the computer science. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for joining the webinar series of Career Counseling Department of Fatih Bilingual School. So for today, it is still Introduction to Careers A to Z. It's still the same webinar series program, which deliver the different career that is in the world, which is the computer scientist. So we thanks our participants that have joined this webinar. So starting from today, this webinar will be delivered in English because in our participants, we also have international students that join our webinar. So it is better to deliver this webinar in English. At the end of the webinar, there will be the evaluation form and also some questions that you have to answer to get the e-certificate for this webinar. So I hope that everyone can participate this webinar until the end. If you have any question that you want to ask, you can type the answer in the Q&A in this webinar. Thank you. All right, let's begin our introduction to careers. So the students and all of the participants here, about the computer scientist, it is very interesting, which is the field, one of the field, the careers that is growing very fast in the world. So the field of computer science is growing much faster than average, at 16% growth per year. So this one is the data from the US, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. All right, so according to this, the data, the field is growing. For example, in they can work in a wide array of job titles, including the software developer, computer information system manager, computer programmer, web developer, and more. So it is very interesting for this computer science field. Is growing more in each year. And then this computer scientist can work more in a wide array of job titles, like I told you before. So it is also important to note here that these careers within the field that are high paying. Okay, so it is kind of the motivation for the students to know which career has the high paying or the payment, the salary. So in fact, the degree leads to some of the highest paying position of all undergrad degrees. So the undergrad degree for most of this career is from the computer science. Okay, so working in computer science means that there are many industries and career paths that will need you in the future. So they also include artistic pursuits like the movie animation, creating animation, and then so on. Okay, we'll discuss more. But before that, let me show you a video. It is very, I think it is very good as the start to introduce about these careers. Okay. Because in this video, we will explain about what is it needed for this job. In other, you have to develop yourself to find this career in the future. All right, so we'll begin in 1 second.
Developing the tools and technologies of tomorrow requires hard work today. Computer and information research scientists invent new approaches to computing technology and improve the use of existing technology. They study complex computing problems and are often at the forefront of solving them for business, science, medicine, and other fields. These research scientists build algorithms or sets of instructions that tell a computer what to do. They may use an algorithm to develop a new computing language, create programs to control robots, robots and simplify the ways people interact with computers. Their work often leads to technological advancements such as better networking technology, faster computing speeds, and improved information security. In general, computer and information research scientists work at a more theoretical level than other computer professionals. Computer and information research scientists work for the federal government, computer systems design firms, research and development departments, and for colleges and universities. Most positions are full-time. Most computer and information research scientists need a master's degree in computer science or a related field, such as computer engineering. For federal government jobs, a bachelor's degree may be sufficient.
From the this explaining about the introduction to the computer science, this from the Career One Stop in the YouTube. So like the introduction of this career, so it not only involves in the like the companies and then the IT, but also in the like the federal governments, in the government fields also. If in Indonesia, like the BUMN and others institution, they also need this career, the computer scientists for developing many projects and also researches. All right, so it is very important for this career, and I will show you to motivate us maybe for some of the scientists or the popular, the famous people that has this kind of studied before about the career, about the computer science. Okay, for example here, let's see. Before that, we have the Elon Musk. So maybe everyone knows about the Elon Musk. So it is called as the real Iron Man. So the famous CEO of Tesla Motor and SpaceX. So before he invented about the company, so he studied about the computer science. So we can, if we read the career of this Elon Musk, that the famous CEO of Tesla Motor and SpaceX, at the age of 12, he began teaching himself to program the computer program, which later paved the way for the launch of his first company. So the first company was Zip2. But he didn't stop there. He went to on to become a co-founder of the company, which we know later became the PayPal. Okay, so it has the backgrounds of the computer science. So, and then how about others? So others, we have the this is the famous also, Mark Zuckerberg. So it is the founder of the most widely used social networking tool, which is Facebook. Okay, so everyone has to start somewhere, like see Mark Zuckerberg. So you have to start for the Facebook in his Harvard dorm room. So after that, today the platform has become a place that connect the family, business, so that they can build brand identity and engage with customers. So this also with the background of from the computer science. Next, we have the also the famous people, one of the most famous people, which is Bill Gates. Bill Gates started his empire writing the software for the Altair computer with his friend. After that, they started Microsoft by the age of 23. So there are some of them. They are the geniuses that they study in the computer science, and they can make great companies. Okay, so it is only for to motivation for us to study the computer science. If as the students, it is not impossible. Okay, so to develop your own career using the computer science. Okay, by become the computer scientist, you can also make your own career by inventing some spectacular things, and it become the company and so on. All right, so for this computer scientist, if you read the literature from all around the world, this also the term of the computer scientists are combined with the information research. So it is not only computer scientists, but also there is the information research. So we are going to watch a video again. So it is from the information research that is done in university. So it is we can know the application of this for the computer scientists. All right, so let me share this video.
I chose to study a degree in computer science and electronic and communications engineering because I wanted a degree that was well-rounded in all manner of the new technologies. I wanted to have a good understanding of both the Western Australia as well as around the world. As part of this, we're developing robot kits that allow these students to partake in formerly university-level research topics at a very low barrier of entry. One of the most interesting projects I'm working on right now is in collaboration with the US National Institute of Standards and Technology. This project develops new ways of testing response robots used in hazardous environments, such as hazardous waste cleanup. The most useful aspect from my studies that I apply to my current career is a combination of both the theoretical knowledge as well as how to actually make things work in the real world. It's one thing to know in theory how to develop something or how something works, but if you want to test it and give people confidence that it will work, you have to actually bring it to fruition. My degree at Curtin University was able to give me both, and that's what I found most useful. I started the Intelligent Robots group earlier this year with the aim of developing intelligent robots that can work in the real world. These robots can not only learn and make decisions for themselves, but they can also explain their decisions and justify their reasoning. If we can allow these robots to explain what they're thinking and to justify their decisions, not only does it give us greater confidence that they will do the right thing as they become more and more part of our daily lives, but it also means that they might be able to teach us a thing or two about what they've learned that we may not already realize. My aim is to further develop these technologies that will allow these intelligent systems to tell us what they're doing. If nothing else, it means that if they're about to plot to take over the world, we can probably buy a little bit more time to stop the robot apocalypse from happening. Beyond that, I just want to see these technologies being helpful to civilization, making it easier for us to do the things that are important and freeing up our time to do the things that we want to do.
Okay, this is a video from the Curtin University, which there's the professor, the lecturer from the university that also give us the insight about the computer scientist. It is not only working in the company and in the IT, so for the Google or the Facebook and so on, but also for the research. For example, in university, and then they can develop for the robotic and for the artificial intelligence and so on. So we'll discuss about this type of careers or the type of the category of the career in the computer scientists. All right, so next, the outline of our program today, which is about the computer scientists. The first one, we are going to discuss what they do, and then the second one, the work environment, so the areas of work, so in which area is important for the computer scientists, and number three is the important qualities, which include the soft and hard skills that are needed to be a good computer scientist, and then how to become one, so the education. All right, so the first one, what they do, so why this career and the advantages. So it is very interesting here about what they do, because we discussed before that the field of the computer scientists are they can reach many fields, not only in the research in the university, and also it can be in the company, and it can be also in the many research that can be done by the people. Okay, so the first one, the computer information research. They invent and design new approaches to computing technology. So we know that by learning the computer, it means that there's the computing using the language or the logics, the math. So they have to invent the new approaches how to make this computing technology become efficient. And they study and solve complex problems in computing for business, science, medicine, and other fields. Why? Because in the medicine, for example, there is also the use of the computer or the technology in the medicine. We have discussed in the previous webinar about the biomedical engineer. So when we discuss about biomedical engineer, they also use the technology and the computers from the computer scientists to develop the tools or the technology to help in this medicinal. Okay, and then others. The second, it is also they can explore the fundamental issues in computing and develop theories. Okay, so there are many issues, ethical issues, or the issues of the usage of the from the computer in the computing, for example. There are many problems and so on. So they can develop the theories to address these problems or issues. There is some computer tasks are very difficult. We know about that, and they require the complex algorithms, which are sets of instructions that tell the computer what to do. So the computer scientists will help to address this issue. Is there any how to improve and simplify this algorithm, for example, to make the computer system as efficient as possible? Okay, so it is one of what they do. And next is they help scientists and engineers solve complex computing problems. Okay, so they can develop like this from this figure. It is like AI or artificial intelligence that can be built up by the computer scientists. They can help the scientists and engineer to solve any complex computing problems. So they can give the solution for these kind of complex problems. We are going to see what kind of skills that are needed for this one. And then next is, yes, it is of course they invent new computing languages like tomatoes to improve the way in which people work with the computer. So many programming languages, and then there are many projects that they are studying how to improve the new computing language or tools that can be used. Later on, they can be used for many in the daily life, for example, when we use the computer or in the doing the research. So it is also possible to this from the software and then from the hardware also. Okay, next is develop and improve the software system that from the basis of the modern computing experience. So the system software, like the operating system, and there's some utilities that are needed in this operating system, is very developing. It means that there are some operating systems that they are being studied, and after that they are being produced that can be used for the daily life. And this one is the modern computing experience that can be experienced by us, for example, the users. And then the computer scientists, they can develop more and more so that they can improve the system. We do not know in the future, maybe in the screen of our laptop or our PC, it become the new screen with the touch screen, but it doesn't need any hardware, for example. They can project some for the screen. It is also possible. So the scientists, which is the computer scientists, they studied about this one, how to develop and improve. And then next is they can design experiments to test the operation of this software system. So when in the experiments, when they are making a new software, for example, the new application, and they can analyze the result of the experiment, how work they fit into this process. For example, there are many input or factors that are needed, and then they will look at, analyze the process, and then also the responses or the output. Okay, so they think a lot, like they do researches also. After that, they have to test the operation of many softwares, okay, that are developed. And then, of course, not only in this in the IT or in the company that they work in the research, but they also do the research for the publication in the academic journals and present their findings at the conferences. Okay, so many scientists, the computer scientists, they do the research. After that, they present their findings, and they can be used for the at the conference. And sometimes for the Google or for some major company, they can use this finding to develop their the software or the research at their companies. All right, so next types of specialties. The first one, we are going to study about the data science and then robotics and programming. So that these three major specialties in the computer science. For the computer scientists, they can learn about the data science, robotics, or the programming. All right, so some of computer scientists, they also work with electrical engineers, computer hardware engineers, and other specialists. So they work on the multidisciplinary projects. So one of the skill that you have to students have to have in order to become the computer scientist is the collaboration. Okay, the first one, that data science. So computer and information research scientists write algorithms that are used to detect and analyze patterns in very large data sets. So they improve the data that they have. They can manage, sort, or display this data, and then they can build the algorithm. So in order to read or present this data, they need the algorithms to make it quick, so they can package them into the software and make them easier to analyze. Okay, so this is called as the data science. So there will be data analysts. For example, they may create an algorithm to analyze a very large set of medical data. For example, how to treat a disease. This is a rare disease, for example, how to treat it by using the technology. So they have to build the data. They have to analyze this data, how to treat this new disease. Okay, they can look for the patterns, for example, in traffic data to have clear accidents faster. So it is developing here in the data science. So if you want to study in the computer science, become the computer scientist, it's also possible to focus on the data science. And then robotics. Okay, so many of us are interested at robotics. So it is really excellent. I mean that exceed our imagination for the robotics. Some computer and information research scientists, they study how to improve the robots. So the robotics explore how the machine can interact with the physical world. So the more the machine can interact with the physical world, the better is the robots. So for example, the robots that can walk and they can help the people. Okay, so it is the concern of the computer scientists. And then they work closely with engineers who focus on the hardware design of robots. And together, these workers test how well the robots do the tasks they were created to do. Like in the previous video that we see from the Curtin University, the professor that he applied the knowledge of for robotics and then for the daily use of these robots or the programs. Okay, so for example, many industries that use the robotics, like in the cars, to assemble cars, automotive industry, and also to collect data on other planets, for example, in the Mars. All right, so next is programming. So computer information research scientists design new programming language that are used to write software. So it is also possible. All right, so let's see the work environment. For the areas of work, design and this in the computer system design and related services. If it is in USA or in abroad, they also use in the government. In the federal government, there is the mostly computer scientists work in the federal government, but also in the computer system design and related services. And like the research development in the physical, engineering, and life sciences, software publishers, the colleges, universities, and professional schools. Okay, so the fields are more. Maybe in the future there will be more areas of work for the computer scientists. I believe that because it is a developing career. Okay, so I will show one of the video. It is from the Google. So how in the Google there are the research scientists, okay, in the Google. So what they do there as for their job. Okay, so let me share this video. All right. So in the Google, they have many research scientists, and then for the data science and so on. So let's see what they do daily here.
Being a research scientist at Google is like being at the driver's seat of the revolution that is happening right now in computer science.
My name is Emily Pittler.
My name is Dipanjan Das.
I'm David Weiss, and I'm a research scientist. Research scientists at Google try to work on problems where we don't necessarily even know how to pose these problems yet. So what are the things that Google is going to be trying to do 2 or 3 years from now?
So for an average research scientist, they would generally spend a mix of time reading papers, writing code, running experiments. Google truly believes that making progress in artificial intelligence and all these other important areas of computer science is really core to the business.
Being a research scientist gives you the unique opportunity to work with very, very large-scale problems involving language processing and machine learning. And at the same time, we are doing cutting-edge research, probably better than a lot of academic research that's being published.
My team is very collaborative. A lot of the people I work with are people whose papers I grew up reading in graduate school, but yet everyone is really humble.
I get to mentor junior engineers and researchers who are just fresh out of school. We try to maintain a culture of inclusion and diversity, so I learn every day and I grow as a researcher every day.
I think research scientists at Google, compared to other companies, have a much broader scope of what they can do. The natural language technology that my team works on runs on every single mobile device that Google produces. This is exactly why I wanted to work at Google, was to see my code and my ideas running on billions of web pages and billions of queries every day. It's really exciting to feel like you're part of a group that's really going to change the way that everyone uses computers.
All right, so we hope that you also, as the students here in the future, you can work on the Google and other major companies. So if you are interested to be the computer scientist, you can be in any major IT companies, or can you start your own companies? That's also possible. All right. Let's continue for the important qualities. So we are going to study to discuss what are the important qualities that are needed to be the computer scientist. The soft and hard skills. So the first one is analytical skills. It must be you must be organized in thinking and be able to analyze the result of the research to formulate the conclusion. So you can train this skill from now by you can, for example, by finding a problem. After that, you analyze the results of the problem, maybe from the journal. You can find it from the any books, textbook. Okay, then you can formulate the conclusion of this research. Okay, you can. This one is very important for these analytical skills. So it must be organized. Okay, to find the solution and to know the steps to finding the solution. And the second one, communication skills. So like I told you in the previous webinar, in the 21st century, there are this famous with the 4C, okay? The 4C, one of them is the communication skills. So you must communicate it well, because when you become the data scientist or the computer scientist, you have to communicate well with programmers and the managers, because in the company there are managers. And so you have to be able to clearly explain the conclusion to people with no technical background. So you have to be like the Steve Jobs, as you can see, they can explain about how to use the technology and so on to the people with no technical background. So it is also important here. Also in the conferences. And then another one is ingenuity. It means that you have to come up with the innovative ways, with the original ways to solve the problem. So you have to think hard. And then when the idea do not initially work as intended, so you have to find the alternative, okay, to solve the problems. And then of course these math skills in the high school here, or some of you are SMP students, you have to have these skills to use the principle of the calculus and other advanced topics in math and statistics for analysis, design, and troubleshooting in their work. Okay, and then another skill is problem solving. So in many careers, so the problem solvings are required because you will deal with some problems, of course, and this problem is more complex. Okay, for example, like building the technology in the medicine, so you have to have the knowledge of the biology also. And then logical thinking, rely on logic, must have a talent for reasoning. Okay, so this one is important when you are constructing the logarithms, for example, to read the data. You must have the logical thinking. So you have to build these skills from now, so that when you are becoming the students, after that you study in university, you can rely on this skill, rely on logic, and then you have the talent for reasoning. Okay, so this is important. And then number 4, how to become one. So it is the last part, how to be a computer scientist. Okay, so from the education, it starts, of course, from the high school. After you graduate from high school, you may enter into the degree of computer science or the information system. Mostly it is from the computer science, because they deal directly with the software and the inside of the computer, but it's possible for the information system. And then after that, most of the computer scientists, they take the master degree. So they have the master degree in computer science or related fields, such as the computer engineering. So most of them has the master degree. So if you want to become the professional, to become the computer scientist, you have to obtain the master degree after undergraduate degree. Okay, so that's it, the introduction to the career of the computer scientist. I hope that it can give you the view or the insights of this career, which is very developing in the world. So let me read the. Okay, this is one question here. Okay, in the Q&A, if you want to ask any question, you can ask in the Q&A section. Okay, so to become the computer scientist, can we study another degree? Okay, so yeah, the question is, can we study another degree in order to become the computer scientist? Yeah, it is also possible. Maybe you have the skill or the hobby in the computer. You can do programming and so on. You know how to make the software and to analyze the data in the computer and so on. It's also possible. But the difference is, when you study in the university, of course, you will get many benefits and advantages. That's why we are, as the career counselors, we suggest that you study in the university. Why? Because you can find, at first you can, the first one, it is benefits for you, because you can get many knowledge from the researchers, and then you can do the, for example, job at the companies and so on. So this more benefits if you study in the university. Okay, because of the time limitation, we will stop from here. Don't forget to fill this evaluation form. I will share the link to your chat in this Google in this Zoom, in this webinar. So you can fill this. Okay, fill this evaluation form to get the e-certificate, also from our career counseling department. So it is a certificate of attendance. If you can answer 100%, I mean that there are 5 questions there. So when you open the form, there are the evaluation form which are not graded. After that, in the second section, there will be 5 questions for you to answer. They are very easy to obtain the certificate. Okay, let's see you in the next webinar, inshallah. And please don't. Okay, so another question. Okay, so let me answer one question. Sir, what university in Indonesia provide the major related to this job? Okay, so the university for this computer science is the famous one are in UI, Universitas Indonesia, and also then from the ITS. So some of our students also from Fatih Bilingual School, they pass the exam to to study in UI, also in the computer science. Okay, so many of them are based in Universitas Indonesia and also ITS and other university. Okay. All right, so thank you very much for your attendance. I close this webinar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.